Hey guys, Marauder here, and welcome to another collection update. It's been a while since the last one, a couple of months in fact, so I have a sizable amount of games to show off, and hopefully you guys see something you like, see something you're interested in, and I can give some recommendations along the way. I guess we'll start with the console side. For my PS3, since I only have one in that, I'll show it off first. This is the Guided Fate Paradox by NIS America. I actually got this used from GameStop, I believe. This is the prequel to Awakened Fate Ultimatum, which I got recently as well. And it was interesting, so I wanted to go back and play the prequel. This one I actually like a little bit more than the sequel. And the art's really nice, and the gameplay is fairly standard for a game of this type. But, I mean, if you're looking for like a dungeon crawler, definitely check this one out. It's worth it. I don't know, I'm having a bit of fun with it, so. The Guided Fate Paradox comes recommended. Now, moving on to the Wii U. I don't have a lot of Wii U games. In fact, I only have one. The Wii U's really been underwhelming. I'm not interested in Splatoon. I haven't gotten around to getting Mario Maker yet. There's a couple other games in the pipeline, like Xenoblade Chronicles X, that I want to get that hasn't come out yet. But I did pick this up. This is Rodea the Sky Soldier, or Rodea. It's from NIS America. This is a collector's edition. This is just the disc here. This also has the original Wii version. I'm not quite sure how to feel about this game yet. It also comes with a soundtrack and an art book. Pretty standard stuff for a collector's edition. But I'm not quite sure how to feel about this yet. The art is very nice. It's very clear that it started as a Wii game and that they then moved it up to a Wii U game, because it just doesn't have the same fidelity as a HD game would have initially if it had been built from the ground up for an HD system. The controls take a while to get used to, especially on the Wii U version. But overall, it's okay. It's an interesting platformer. It's an interesting twist on the genre, where he can fly around, but instead of like an airplane kind of thing where he can turn, you basically just have to redirect his targeting so that he kind of does this weird arcing motion. Like I said, it takes a while to get used to, and I'm still trying to get used to it myself. But overall, not a bad game for the Wii U. At least it's something third-party, as they haven't really had a whole lot of luck in third-party support right now. Anyway, moving on, we will move on to my PlayStation 4, the newest system in my collection, and I got a handful of games for it. The first game, Killzone Shadowfall. I'm a big Killzone fan, so this was a definite must-have day one. It's okay. It's decent as far as shooters go. I don't know if it's just that I'm not used to the PS4 controller, but it's okay. You have this like robot, he's actually on the cover, this little like drone that you can command around and use him to set up ambushes and things, which is an interesting concept. Graphics are nice, controls are fine. I don't have PlayStation Plus and I don't plan to have it, so the multiplayers will be off limits personally. But yeah, overall, it's alright. I'm just waiting for like an actual full-fledged Killzone game. The next game in the stack is, of course, Bloodborne. This is the one everybody's talking about, everybody wants a PS4 for, and I think it came free when I bought the system. Yeah, I think so. Either way, it's interesting. I've never played a whole lot of the Souls games, so this is my first real foray into that genre. And boy, is this hard. Not unfair, but just difficult. And I think that's a nice balance that it strikes, is when I die, I really feel like it was my fault. It's never really the game's fault. I didn't react fast enough, I didn't do the right thing. And I'm still getting used to doing things properly in this game. I have a couple of friends of mine who absolutely love this game, so that's kind of funny to think. But yeah, overall, very nice game. Very much enjoy this. If you're into the Souls game, this is obviously more of the same, which is not a bad thing. The next game on the PS4, I did have a game called Toukiden Kill Me. If you guys watched my Killzone, or excuse me, my PlayStation 4 offline video, I ended up trading it in because obviously I didn't have PlayStation Plus, I didn't have online, and I didn't care to ever really have online, which put the game in a very narrow play field. It's like I could play single player, and I got very bored very quickly. So I traded it in for Infamous Second Son. This I got used. This game is a better game as far as single player goes, just because there's more to do. You basically have a city you fly around in. You have these like weird smoke powers where you can glide around and shoot like beams of energy or like fireballs and stuff. It's interesting. It's not exactly as open world as I think most people would have liked, including myself, but it's open world enough where you feel like there's always something to do. Yeah, I enjoy this quite a bit. I've put a lot of time into this. I've cleared a couple of city blocks or whatever and reclaimed them. So, yeah, I mean, not a bad game. I haven't played the other ones in this series, but if they're anything like this, I'd be pretty happy with them. The last game in my PS4 collection right now is Onichan Bara Z. I can't exactly say that. Z2 Chaos, I think is what that's called. And this was obviously a guilty pleasure. I really enjoy these Onichan Bara games. They're so stupid and so over the top and so ridiculous, yet I like them. So, picked it up. Graphically, it's okay. It's very solid look to it. It's got a very nice art style to it and all that. The combat is interesting. It's kind of like a Dynasty Warriors game with a little bit more depth to it. It certainly has more depth to it than the previous games in the series did, which is good. This also came as part of the Banana Split Limited Edition. So it comes in this box with a bunch of additional stuff, an art book, a soundtrack, and a bonus like DLC code for some costumes. Which, of course, I redeemed, and of course they're stupid and ridiculous, and that's what I love about it. So, I mean, if you're a fan of hack and slashers like Dynasty Warriors, I'd say give it a shot. It's so stupid and so over the top that it's actually a lot of fun. Now, all I have left is some handheld stuff and some PC stuff, so I guess we'll get to the handheld stuff next. The very next game I have is on my Vita is, and I gotta say this right, Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax, which is a anime-style fighting game for the PlayStation Vita, and I believe it's also on PS3 and PS4, I believe. It also came in a limited edition box, which, actually a lot of these I have came in limited edition boxes now that I think about it, which came with a soundtrack CD and like a book that had a bunch of move sets in it and stuff. I don't know if you'd get that if you just bought the game by itself, because it seems like too big a book to fit in this case, but who knows. The soundtrack is interesting because it's supposed to have, I think, 6 or 7 tracks on it, but they're all put on one track, so when you put it in your computer, it only sees one audio track, which is all of the music the CD is supposed to have. There's just no breaks in it. So if you were to import it to your PC to store in your MP3 player later or whatever, you would only get one track, which is ridiculous. So that's kind of weird. Yeah, but you can cross-save this, obviously, with the PS3 version or the PS4 version, whichever one it is. And it has a bunch of anime characters, a bunch of anime support characters from various animes, and it's actually not a bad fighting game. I'm not that big into fighting games, but this seems pretty solid to me. My friend Phoenix923 has it as well, and we've played multiplayer a couple times, and he beats the crap out of me, to be honest. But still, I enjoy this game quite a bit. It is quite a bit of fun, especially on the Vita. If you're looking for a pretty solid fighting game, this I would definitely recommend. Okay, next in my stack of handheld stuff is my, of course, 3DS. Now the 3DS is getting less and less of my attention over time, but there still were a couple games that came out that I was interested in picking up. The first one, this is Hatsune Miku Project Mirai DX, I think is how that's said. This is, of course, the special edition. I got this off Amazon, and it came sort of crushed and destroyed in the packaging because, unlike a cardboard box, they put it in a bubble mailer. But that's whatever. I am a big fan of these games. I like these games a lot, and I have the other two games on PS3 and PS Vita, and I play them constantly. I mean, the one on Vita rarely ever comes out of my Vita because it's just so much fun. But I would say this is not as good as the Vita versions. And so if you're looking for a good rhythm-based game, I wouldn't recommend this one. Honestly, I'm just keeping it because I'm a fan, more or less. But still, I mean, if you only have a 3DS, you don't have a Vita or a PS3, and you want to play some Hatsune Miku, this is not a bad choice. It's just not as engaging as the Vita version. Oh, the next game. We'll go to this. The next one I have for the 3DS is The Legend of Legacy. It's an open-world-esque RPG. This is I think this is what they call just the launch edition. But it comes with an art book, soundtrack, and the game, of course. It's interesting from what I've played. I only put about a couple hours into it so far. But basically, you pick one of a group of characters, and you progress through the world looking for stuff to do, more or less. You're given a very basic RPG storyline, and then left to your own devices. I don't know how I feel about this yet. It's published by Atlas, but it's not made by Atlas. It's made by somebody else, which I cannot remember. But if you're looking for an RPG, there might be better ones out there. I can't necessarily say right now, but this isn't a bad one. I like the art style myself personally, so there's at least that going for it. Alright, I have two more. I bought these the same day because the store near me was having a sale. Where they were, I think, buy one get one half off or something, so picked them both up. This is The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. I just bought this recently, as of like maybe a week ago. Personally, it's okay. The single player is kind of dull because it's meant for 3 players and it's meant for multiplayer. That I get. But they included a single player, which, good for them, except the fact that it turns the other 2 characters into basically drones or just dolls that don't do anything until you go pick them up and put them somewhere. You can swap souls between the 3 of them to control them individually, but it's just not as engaging as I think the multiplayer would be. I have yet to really get into the multiplayer. What I've played of it, where I played the demo with a couple friends of mine, and we seem to have a bit of fun. So the nice thing is you can play this with only one card. So if one person has this and nobody else does, you can still all play it, which is a good addition. The next game is Yokai Watch, and I described this to a friend of mine like a combination between Pokemon and Shin Megami Tensei, where it's like Pokemon in that there are like 200 plus creatures you have to find and befriend, but it's unlike Pokemon in that you don't just capture them, you have to actually make them your friend by giving them things and having them join you of their own free will. It's interesting. I've only put a couple hours into this, but I want to go back to this even right now, actually. I don't know if I can necessarily recommend this. It certainly is different than Pokemon, so I mean, if you're looking for something just like Pokemon, this might not be for you. But if you like the combination of Pokemon with Shin Megami Tensei, this might be something to look into. I certainly do, so I'm getting quite a bit out of it right now. Okay, I only have 2 more games to show off. One is for my Vita again, and I'm saving this to the last because it is like a specialty one. But this is Danganronpa, another episode, Ultra Despair Girls. This is like a spin-off game, here's the game right here, of the main series where you play as 2 of the female characters going through like a third-person shooter. I have not played this at all yet because I haven't beaten the second game, and apparently it kind of gives away some of the plot if you haven't played the second game yet. The box actually includes the soundtrack CD as well as a tie clip. So let me see. Like, this bear is wearing a tie, and that's the symbol on it is actually a clip you get. And there's a pin, I believe, as well inside. Oh, and you get his actual tie, which is interesting. I might do an unboxing of this later, but I haven't played it yet at all, so I can't really say anything about it. Okay, the last game I have, this is something I've been waiting for a very, very long time. And I kickstarted this a while ago, and it finally showed up, so I'm very happy to have this, and that is the Pier Solar HD. This is the PC version on DVD. This also works on Mac and Linux. I have not actually opened this yet because I actually have this on Steam. So I'm planning on keeping this sealed. But anyway, Pier Solar is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it really shows what a dedicated group of people can do when they really want to accomplish something. I mean, granted, if you might be dedicated and make a crappy game, but fortunately that's not the case here. This is an amazing RPG that I highly recommend anybody play who's into old school 16-bit RPGs like Super Nintendo, Genesis style, obviously. This was originally made as a Genesis game with a physical Genesis cartridge, and it had the interesting, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but it had an interesting option where you could put a soundtrack CD in a Sega CD and actually get the music from the CD to play in-game, along with additional sound effects and such. And so after that game became a success, they wanted to kickstart an HD version for consoles and for PC. And I backed the PC version because it's DRM free. Okay, and last but not least, to go along with the Pier Solar game, I picked up the strategy guide. This is something I purchased on their website. This was just under $22, shipped for free. This is obviously the strategy guide that goes with it. It's hardcover. It's just gorgeous. See if I can just page after page of full color descriptions of every area, every enemy, every item, and just incredible. So I'm not sure exactly how to show this off, but maybe I'll do a separate video on just this book. But I mean, every page, this shows what a strategy guide should be. Just beautiful art. Now, from what I understand, this was meant to be a fan project. And Watermelon, the company that makes Pier Solar, picked it up and actually decided to publish it in an actual hardcover book, because the guy was going to do it just as like something for the fans, something for the community, and they ended up actually publishing it. It is absolutely the most beautiful strategy guide I've ever seen, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan of Pier Solar. I'm saying this is how I wish 99% of strategy guides were. Hardcover, just like a book, easy to open, look through, beautiful art. They have everything, by the way, in different languages in the back on these pages. I don't know if that was the best option to do for that, but I mean, I guess when you wanted to include so many different languages, that's a way around it. But everything else is in English, and it is just gorgeous art. Just beautiful layout, wonderful color. For $20, I mean, you'd spend more than $20 on a strategy guide nowadays for games today. Full HD games with DLC and all that. But this is by far the greatest strategy guide, I think, at least in terms of actual presentation, I think I've ever seen. I'm very happy to have this. This is going to be in my Pier Solar collection forever. I'm going to absolutely adore this. So, I don't know if I'd recommend people actually picking it up. I mean, if you play the game and you want to support them on top of buying the game, you can get this for just under $22. I think is at least that's initially what I paid for it. And it is just gorgeous. Highly recommended. So, if you're a fan of Pier Solar, or if you're a fan of old school retro video games or RPGs especially, look into Pier Solar, look into what Watermelon is doing, because they are doing some really quality stuff. Anyway, I believe that is everything in my collection update today. Not a whole lot of stuff to recommend, as I haven't had much time to actually play games. On top of this, I also have a new gaming PC I built, so I've been playing a lot of stuff on that. And, yeah, but hopefully you guys saw some stuff you're interested in. I obviously highly recommend the Pier Solar game plus the strategy guide, and recommend the fighting game on Vita, whose name I can't remember. Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax is very good. So, alright, that wraps up this edition of my collection update, and I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.